Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our third Thursday free virtual tour experience with the Foss Waterway Seaport. I'm your host and guide this evening, Chris Staudinger, and it's a pleasure to have you on board. Tonight, man, I'm excited for this one. So this was a program that was introduced to me very recently, and the more I learned about it, the more exciting it became, because I can say without exaggeration, it is integral to the survival of the Puget Sound and the economy of Washington State. I hope I've got your attention. Tonight we're talking about the Salish Sea Heroes. If you don't know who the Salish Sea Heroes are, well, you've come to the right location. We're going to tell you all about it tonight. If you have questions, comments, please let me know as we go along on this journey, and I will do my best to relay the information to you as accurately and inclusively as possible, because as you're about to learn, there's an extraordinary number of Salish Sea Heroes, and I would like to do them all justice because the work they are doing is so important to the area and is really deeply optimistic, certainly in a time where we could use a little more optimism in our day-to-day life. So if you guys are ready, let me check in with everyone here. I want to see how you're doing and take you on this journey of the Salish Sea Heroes here with the Foss Waterway Seaport, which I want to acknowledge the work that not just the Foss Waterway Seaport Museum has been doing in the area, but also its educational staff in particular has really done a tremendous job during COVID of outreach and program expansion. And a lot of this is made possible by the generous contribution of our dear sponsor, Columbia Bank.
I've been a commercial fisherman for 41 years. Truly is a magical place out there. I've been with Columbia Bank as long as this boat's been to sea. As a commercial fisherman, we have income pulses that are directly related to seasonal activities. If that propeller ain't turning, you're not earning. Columbia Bank tailored this loan to fit our business needs perfectly. They made me happy as a clam at high tide.
And yes, when we're talking about the heroes, tonight we're talking about people. I'll give you a whole sandwich tour later. Don't you worry, it's coming up. And hello, welcome. I'm glad to see you guys all here. I'm excited that you're joining us tonight. So what the heck are we talking about? Salish Sea Heroes, you might be asking yourself, what is going on with this? So in summation, there is a series of 5th grade classes out in the South Sound region that work with these hands-on scientific programs, going out and trying to learn about the world by being a part of that environment and world and doing these experiments. And then last year happens, COVID rains on everyone's parade, and so they pivot really shockingly quickly to this program where the students remotely could start to look at the environment, the changes that are happening to it, and what can be done to course correct it to make our world healthier across the board. Enter the CDOC Society. Well, let's see if I can blow this up here for you. So CDOC Society was founded in 2000, and it conducts and sponsors essentially vital scientific research throughout the Puget Sound, the inland waters of the Pacific Northwest, I think is the official title. And this is the area known colloquially as the Salish Sea. So this ecosystem is literally underwater. It's important to so much of our day-to-day life down here, and revealing those secrets and showing the connectivity of everything was what CDOC Society was really trying to do every day. And they do these programs, and one of the big things that they launched was the Salish Sea Hero program. So they offer this curriculum to the students in the area. The Foss Waterway Seaport helps administer and apply it to these programs in classrooms, and hey presto, you now have all of these 5th graders actively engaged in the area. And what are they addressing every day? Well, science, first of all. One of the big things that we're going to talk about today, my case school is Sherman Elementary, there are so many more schools that were involved. And I don't want you to think that I'm just biased towards Sherman, but they were the one that I had the most interaction with. So if I say their name a lot, don't panic. I know that many more people were involved in this. But the Foss Waterway helps them address their science program through exploration of the Salish Sea, through books and virtual programs, and then very specifically through this program with salmon. So the Salish Sea Hero program takes these kids on a journey of understanding the environmental impact of what's happening to salmon, and then gave them opportunities to do real life in-person tests independently themselves, and then to take that data and then fund, and not fund, but like facilitate a program to release baby salmon. So I hope you're with me so far. Let's break it down even more. It's about the salmon, my friends. Salmon are a keystone species. They are right in the middle, and everything relies on them. The things that they eat and the environments that they come from are changed forever by the presence of salmon. And everything that eats salmon is also dependent on it. So we're talking, from the geography of streams to the microorganisms that dwell in them, all the way up to orcas who are entirely dependent on salmon, and us. I think it's a $200 million economy that runs on salmon. And so it's the most fundamental species. It is the keystone species in the Puget Sound, and they live and die throughout this entire Salish Sea area. So understanding why they've been in decline for a long time is a big problem, because they are. And this is the bad news. So salmon, in particular juvenile salmon, need a prolonged period to sort of adjust. And if you're not familiar with the salmon life cycle, I'm just going to break it down for you guys here really quick. I've got some good visuals for the visual people in my group here. So this is what happens with the salmon. It starts as an egg, and then it goes on this life journey until it becomes an adult salmon. They end up in these little tiny streams where they're all over throughout the Puget Sound here. They go out to the deep ocean. They live 3 to 6 years, and then they come back home to the stream where they began. And this, for me, is one of the most extraordinary parts of salmon, is that they can detect the smell of their home stream. And when you look at the Puget Sound region, I mean, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of streams that feed into the Puget Sound, and these salmon can detect the exact one that they came from. And towards the end of their life, they get the call to return home, spawn back, create a new generation of salmon, and then die. Or at least this is the dream, that you want them to come back. But for a long time, salmon were failing to return. And I think the sort of general consensus in the scientific community was, well, the ocean is dangerous. Of course salmon die. Something must be going wrong out there. But as more and more scientific data was coming in, people realized that the problem wasn't in the ocean. It was here at home. It is the estuaries in particular that are a problem. So these are juvenile salmon, and they require a process called smoltification. So if you look at the life cycle here, right in the middle, at 1 to 3 years old, these smolt, these juvenile young adult salmon, will head out to sea, live their lives, and then come back. But that period where they're adjusting, you can see here, from freshwater to saltwater is crucial for so many reasons. The first is salmon can't just go from freshwater into saltwater. It's not like they just get a pass and then head on out. They need a period to get adjusted and to get stronger and faster. And they do that primarily in these half fresh, half saltwater estuaries out here in the Puget Sound. In particular, eelgrass forests. So these are juvenile salmon smolt out in the eelgrass forests, right in that sort of like, can't decide what it is, am I fresh, am I saltwater region of the Puget Sound. And consider this like the salmon's training montage. This is where they get ready towards the end of Rocky to start going out and taking names. And this is what they need, because they need to bulk up. They need to learn how to sprint. They need to become, predators after living a life as prey. And they're so vulnerable when they're young salmon because they'll be eaten by everything, almost everything, including other salmon. So they gotta learn how to fight. They gotta learn how to run so that they can go out into the ocean. And this region that is most important to their life is being destroyed through a whole variety of things, not the least of which is essentially 200 years of pollution. So when you're looking at this estuary zone in the Puget Sound, you have to consider so many factors, including creosote poisoning. All of the original piers and pilings that have been installed out of the Puget Sound seep constant creosote poison into the region here. Also, industrial revolution coming to the Puget Sound was in a lot of ways a good thing, and in so many others, absolutely tragic. This is of the Port of Tacoma from the 1970s. This is of the Asarco plant, which not only put arsenic in the topsoil of the entire Pierce County region, but annihilated life in the Puget Sound here. The South Sound region, Commencement Bay, was just turned into a wasteland. And luckily, a lot of ecological cleanup programs have come through, and we've seen a tremendous rebound of that marine life out there. But it's important to remember that lead, arsenic, toxic metals were being dumped, sometimes intentionally and sometimes just through the process of smelting, out into the Puget Sound. So this is key. Smelting is bad for smolting, and we need to do something to fix it. So once this idea of the stream and the estuary becoming so important to the survival of the salmon species, this beautiful metaphor was born, in that to create a healthy life of salmon, you need to focus on the juvenile period, enriching them and giving them a safe place to grow. And hey presto, enter a bunch of fifth graders in their juvenile period, learning the skills that they need for a healthy adult life by helping these salmon. It's classy stuff. It writes itself. So undoing the action of all this pollution is one thing, but understanding what was going on becomes the first part of this. So there are several species that we're going to be looking at: coho, chinook, and steelhead. And what's important to this whole thing is that the orca traditionally only eat one type of salmon, which is bananas, right? I guess when you are literally the apex predator in the world, you can be really bougie about what you want to eat, very choosy about all your stuff, like a house cat. But orca are very specific about the type of salmon that they eat. And so as their variety was vanishing, you see a decline in the orca population. And this becomes sort of the bellwether, the canary in the mine, telling us that a lot of other things that we don't pay attention to are starting to see a collapse. Here's some more numbers for you guys about coho and chinook, and sort of there's a prediction here for 2020 and 2021, and you can see that there is a projected sort of bounce in chinook, hopefully. I don't remember what the exact numbers were for 2020, but it looks like there might be a decline in 2021. And chinook are the one that are traditionally the orca diet, if I'm not mistaken, and they're a little like turning up their noses at coho. But fortunately, we've seen some changes over time here. But let's talk about Salish Sea Heroes. So the program introduces them to this concept that streams and estuaries are the most important part to a salmon's life. And the Foss Waterway Seaport has a tank of salmon. They bring them in as eggs. They're the salmon cam, which I thought was really cool. So you could literally tune in at any point, see this life, very like Truman Show style, of the salmon as they hatch, turn into fry, and then get ready for their launch out into the real world. So there's a clock now. The fifth graders from the Tacoma Public Schools district need to now find the right stream to release these salmon. And so all these tests have to be done to determine if it has the right pH balance, if it has enough oxygen in there, what the pollution levels are going to look like, and if it's going to be a safe location for these salmon to return as adults. It's like it's something that should be on TLC, honestly. Like, you send all these kids out with a budget and a time period, and they have to find the right home, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, to raise a family of salmon and hope that they come back with positive life experiences. Absolutely bananas. And these kids are out there doing it. They're doing the tests and sending the information back virtually through the seaport to create this program. And this is sort of the silver lining to this whole thing. What was supposed to be an in-person program where they released the salmon ended up being a program that actually sourced a tremendous amount more data for the release of the salmon. Because while you had these kids who could go out and do things independently, they couldn't do them as a group. So the Foss Waterway Seaport sent out all these kits individually, again, in a very short time period, so that the students could test individual streams on their own throughout the community. And again, they're everywhere. Just a couple weeks ago, we talked about the gulches of Tacoma. And so Puget Gulch, which is a park, actually has a salmon run in it today. And the salmon still spawn up that creek that people forget about all the time because it just runs through a park in the middle of downtown Tacoma. And so these students are going out and trying to source all this data to find the best location to release the salmon. And they did so, I'm going to say, beautifully. Tonight, I want to introduce you to a few of them so you get to see what they were working on out there and looking at the different streams that they considered. The big takeaway that I want you to learn really quick is, of course, salmon are important, and salmon equal orcas. And orcas are incredibly lovable, very iconic, so it's an easy thing to get behind. But let's take a look really quick at some of the art that these students produce. So they came up with dream streams, and I love this. So these are their dream streams. They came up with the ideal stream, essentially. And it's supposed to be the ideal location for a salmon to live. And then they came up with nightmare streams as well, listing all of the things that make it difficult for salmon to live their life. One of my absolute favorites that I've been introduced to is Max, and I'm going to let Max explain his process to you a little bit right now.
This is the Dream Stream and Nightmare Stream project. What I liked about the salmon science was we learned how they spawned and how the food web works and how hatchery salmon go through all of this really beautiful process to make like fishing salmon distinctive from like wild salmon, so that we can keep having salmon. And some challenges were picking a spot for our little salmon to live, and also another challenge was hearing that salmon are dying off, causing the southern resident killer whale to die off also. So that was a challenge. And also, finally, what I learned was that salmon, the adipose skin is clipped in the hatchery, so that results in them being distinctive from wild salmon and hatchery salmon, so they can be caught. Alright, now here's the artwork. This is the dream stream, peaceful, full of life. The stream is benevolent and beholds beauty. Give you a look. And then the nightmare stream. This one reads, death and pollution plagues this beautiful stream and its life all gone. Kind of sad. Road next to it, pollution. Alright, that is it. Now, thank you for listening. Have a great day.
My dream in life is to be as articulate as Max. He has put me to shame. So Max has done a phenomenal job tonight of sort of introducing you to the the large breadth and scope of this program and a lot of the things that they learned. And one of the big ones is, how do you track these salmon? And the answer that he gave you very elegantly is to clip the adipose fin. And to show you that, we actually have a clip that I got to go film with the Fosswater Seaport of the process of that. And it is astonishing the way that they clip salmon. So please enjoy.
My name is Grant Lee. I'm with the Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission. Right now we're adipose clipping all the hatchery Chinook. There's about a little over 1 million probably Chinook to get through. These are just the raceways all the Chinook are kept in. So this is our fish pump. We have one of these that'll go with each trailer. And it's just a really low stress way to move fish into our trailer from wherever. And less work for me, because I can just let it roll. We'll pump them into the trailer and they'll run through our machines, they'll get counted, measured, and get their adipose fin clipped off. And then they'll go into these 2 nature's ponds here. So there'll be 500,000 probably in this pond and 500,000 in the next pond. Well, these are Clark's Creek stock, so they just get released from here and they come right back. These fish here will return here in 4 to 5 years. We used to do everything by hand, and now we can do, this trailer has 6 machines that you'll see. And a typical day I could do 60,000. We have a couple that are shorter. Some of the hatcheries are way more tight to get in and out of these big trailers. So those ones have 5 lines, but they still can do 50,000 plus a day. So the fish are out in the raceways. Then we pump them up into this tank. And then this will pump them up into here. So they end up in there. And then they go through these 2 openings here, they get measured, and then every click that you hear, that's one of these flippers opening up, and it opens up to a tube that sends them to one of these machines that are all based on fish length, and they end up in here, and they don't like being against this white background, so they'll all try and fight to get into this little corner. Fish comes in, it gets to the end, it trips a sensor, a set of padded clamps will close down on it, and it arches that fish's back. And we have to sort them by length, because hopefully that adipose fin will be in that window. And it'll take a before picture, clip the fin, and then take an after picture. This was run pretty well, you might not see an error, but if it leaves a little too much of the fin, it'll fail it, and it'll get kicked into a bucket, and those will get done by hand also.
Adipose fin clipping is part of a 2-step process that helps scientists and fisheries identify and distinguish between wild salmon and hatchery salmon. The other half of the process involves the injection of a small piece of wire with a unique numerical identification code on it.
So when we're tagging, that needle shoots the tag in like right there. And like if this is the little sinus cavity, the tag's only like that big. So you have some wiggle room, but if you can get it right in that sinus cavity, it'll stay in there until they're an adult. So like one length of tag would be like that.
The tags are so small, you actually need a special scope just to see the numbers on them. These specialty trailers have really streamlined the process of tagging salmon for release.
I am just literally blown away every time I see that process. And yes, in case you didn't know, salmon do learn how to play electronic music. And if you're curious, they learn how to play at school. It's a double pun. I'm sorry. They start by learning how to play the scales, though. It's unbearable tonight. I really apologize. That's 3 puns, if you're counting. So once they clip the adipose fin, the salmon go out from there. But the major project of the Salish Sea Heroes was to find the perfect stream to do the release of these salmon. And again, they had a tank of salmon at the Foss Waterbury Seaport who were prepping for their exciting journey out into the real world, getting ready to leave the nursery and then go out, have some fun life experiences before they bulk up and get ready for the fight of their life out in an estuary zone. And finding that ideal location, I imagine, was intensely stressful. And so the students came up with their dream streams, which again, I want to show you right now because some of them are absolutely phenomenal. So there are dream streams like this one from Andres here, and there are nightmare streams as well. And if you can't read it, it says the pollution solution, water pollution is not the solution, where we sit where we're here thinking, we're losing water we could be drinking. I didn't do the best at reading the poem, but I love it because a lot of the students came up with poems on their dream or nightmare streams, and so many of them really resonated on the fact that action should be taken. What I loved about this program is that it put the power in young hands. It was teaching them that even though the world was shut down, everyone scattered across the wind, that children could be doing something that will literally affect the health and well-being of everything in the Puget Sound. So as you're looking at the dream streams, I was very moved by the opportunity that these kids were taking to just go out and actually make something happen out here. Also, literally all of these dream streams are places that I would want to go. Some of them have the dream and the nightmare attached to them, which I thought was very interesting. And I want to introduce you to a few more of these students who get to talk about the program so you get a feel for the whole thing.
What I liked most was probably doing the science of it and like attending the classes and learning about the salmon. Some of the challenges that I faced of being online was when you make mistakes, not having people to actually like help you and show you exactly what to do when you're doing it. So you would have to like ask them and then try to like figure it out without their help, like telling you what to do. I learned how the salmon survive out in the wild and the different stages that they do when they're there, and how they like go through their ages and what they do to evolve. And that's what I learned in the salmon's class.
So not only was this program important to the area, but it's like, as far as an education aspect, but it's important to the entire region. Salmon bear so much of the weight and are a really good telltale of the health and success of a community. So starting small and then looking at the bigger picture is a really encouraging way to start to understand this solution to the pollution. I got a few more dream streams for you guys here that I want you to see. So let me see if I can bring a few of them up here. This one I thought was really fantastic just because I love the different layers to it. And you really get to see, I think, the conceptualization of everything being sandwiched together. So all of the things that lead to pollution are nicely presented on the left there, and then their effect or non-effect on the stream is shown on the right. Also, the words that the students chose to describe their dream streams were really excellent. I should have had some like swanky dream stream music, but I didn't come up with anything for you guys. I really apologize for that. But I really wanted you guys to get the opportunity to see a few of these and to hear from a couple more students. So here's a couple about the nightmare stream, which I thought were pretty impactful.
This is my nightmare stream, and if the water's murky because of the trash, there's a bicycle wheel, a tissue, a fire extinguisher, a mask, medicine, batteries, bleach, tennis shoes, and no trees. I hope they don't like it because the salmon don't like it.
I think Seth also did a really good job there of showing the ease of access to all these things that affect the daily life, because he had clippings, stuff that's even pitched to us every day. He was able to just clip out of what I assume was a magazine that came through the mail slot and then put it onto his nightmare stream. So there's a visual metaphor for you. Here's Nora.
This is my nightmare stream. You can tell because it's a really murky stream in the middle of a desert with pretty much nothing around it.
Oh, this is also, I want to acknowledge this here. Streamweaver. We should be using this phrase way more often in our daily life. Here's a few more dream streams for you guys here so that you can see the vision of what these students wanted to either avoid with the nightmare stream here on top that Hannah came up with, or create for the world that they're about to inherit. And what I really like about Hannah's here is you get to see the wake, the water line coming off of the fish swimming down the stream here. And that I like that they're moving away from the nightmare stream into the dream stream. I thought that was a classy move there. Jack had a really phenomenal one here with, I'm guessing this is a wishing well up here on the right, but I'm not entirely sure. I wish he was here to give me some clarification. And then this one I thought was so fantastic because it shows all of the various elements that lead into a dream stream here. And this, I can't stress enough, is what I personally took away from doing the research for this tour and program, was that it is so many little programs, small actions, and tiny contributions that contribute to the larger situation. And again, remember, these scientists, the doctorates that were in charge of understanding the decline of the salmon population and the ailing health of the entire Salish Sea, first believed that it was happening in the ocean. Big picture stuff. And then it was by turning back home and understanding all of the little things that contribute to the health or illness of a local stream that has the most fundamental and important impact on the life of a salmon, was revolutionary, and it changed everything. And I think by teaching the students that, it really became a profound lesson there. So I want you to hear from Tess here really quickly.
Okay, so this is my art. I did a nightmare stream. It has roads. There is a pipe putting pollution into the water, and there are invasive species here. It's really dark, and then I wrote here. I wrote a little haiku about that. And then there are a lot of dark clouds, so there's not much light that they have. And then the thing I liked most about the salmon was learning about how they do the hatcheries, like how they use the hatcheries, and seeing the salmon. The hatcheries was really cool because they got to clip all the tails, and then there was all the machines and how it all worked. And then some challenges that there was during online was I didn't really get to see them in person and see the museum, and that was really challenging. And then I learned a lot about what salmon need to survive in the wild.
Well, we've got good news for you, Tess. The museum is officially opening up on June 3rd, so the opportunity for you all to get back out there and actually experience the fruits of your labor is rapidly approaching. Also, I would like to commend Tess on her dream stream and nightmare stream for using watercolors, which the pun lover in me was a big fan of. Here's Carolyn.
This is my dream stream. It's a dream stream because it has curvy water so salmon can swim better, and rocky beds for laying eggs, and trees for shade, and logs for salmon to hide under. This is my nightmare stream because it has murky water, pollution, and people have chopped down the trees so there's no shade.
So one of the tools the students had access to was a story map that explained the process of what they were looking for and gave them some direction to go when they were looking for the proper, data to bring in to find the stream to release these salmon. And I will share that with you guys in the comments in a section here. But one of the resources was available to that is the video I'm about to share with you, sort of talking about the program and the streams in particular.
Killer whales are hungry. The southern resident killer whales, according to a study from the Center for Whale Research, need to eat 18 to 25 Chinook salmon a day. That means all 3 pods altogether need about 1,400 Chinook salmon every day just to survive. A new scientific study that just came out shows that killer whales aren't just eating Chinook salmon, they're also eating coho salmon. But coho are even smaller. So they're going to have to eat even more coho. Here you go, take good care of them. 200 years ago, salmon were so thick in the Salish Sea that when it came time to spawn, the rivers were stacked with salmon returning to their home streams where they were born. Now there are just 5% of wild salmon left, and fish hatcheries help keep salmon in the Salish Sea. We need hatcheries to keep them from going extinct. Salmon need your help too. My name is Mira Lutz Castle. I work with the Sea Doc Society, as in sea doctors. We are scientists, wildlife veterinarians, and a great team of Salish Sea Heroes who take actions to help the Salish Sea, our home. Thanks to our hatcheries, our community partners, and even some of you are raising baby coho salmon right now. Here they are, last winter, hatching and wiggling in the water for their very first time. How cute are they? You could even pick one and give it a name. Write it in your student journal. Your babies need to be released in a coho salmon safe stream this spring. So we have a problem to solve. You can help by determining a safe release site for our coho salmon. This is going to take field science. We'll have to go outside. We'll have to check the weather. Do you think it's going to rain today? Nature detectives use science and traditional knowledge from tribal elders to make decisions based on evidence to help our wildlife. Wildlife like your baby cohos. These babies need a home stream. Something biologists have observed is that coho are especially sensitive to pollution. We've been seeing this in local urban streams in the last decade. What was the culprit? You'll find out as you start to uncover clues. You'll find out what salmon need to survive and choose a site to set your baby coho free. Will it be safe for your salmon? Start your observation and evidence gathering now. Your teacher will support your journey, but they don't have the answers either. You will have a community scientist to help you in your own authentic scientific process to make a decision based on your evidence. Finally, you'll recommend a solution to our problem, a site to release the salmon. Use this tool to track your own process of science along the way. It is so cool. You can even turn it into a PowerPoint automatically at the end. Share your evidence-based recommendation for a release site with your community scientist. We will tally the votes and choose a site to release the coho salmon this spring. Salish Sea Heroes all around the Salish Sea are helping salmon. They are taking actions to improve salmon habitat, clean up the waterways, and help salmon to survive. You may even see yourselves featured on the Junior Sea Doctors online club. Just remember, the more salmon we save, the more food for killer whales. Good luck.
I love so much about that. I'll tell you the things I dislike. Number one, 5% of original salmon capacity is a jarring and horrifying number. 5% is not something you want to hear You know, like if you were looking at your phone and you're like, oh, I'm at 5%, you would panic. And so for a keystone species that's integral to the life, success, and economy of everything that we deal with every day, we should all be a little panicked. So I appreciate that these students, and now the things I like, are offering evidence-based solutions and suggestions on what to do about this problem. And starting by finding home streams is a really great way to do it. So I wanted you guys to actually get to see briefly what it was that they were actually doing out there. So here's a clip of the different streams and how specifically they were being tested and what information was being gathered to help determine the best launch site.
All right, so we are going to start with the temperature. So Jen is getting out the temperature probe, and she is going to come over here a little bit closer so we can see what's up. She's going to go ahead and put that in, and this is a digital thermometer. Degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so we're going to take our sample and we're going to get some water and we're going to use our test strip and look at the nitrates and nitrites, which are these two right here. All right. So I am going to submerge my stick, my testing strip, for 2 seconds. 1,000 to 1,000. Take it out and lay it horizontally and wait 60 seconds for my results. All right, so the next thing that we're going to test is going to be dissolved oxygen. So the first thing that Kayla's going to do is pour water from our sample cup into our test cup. And we're going to fill it up to the 30 milliliter mark. All right, so now we have an ampule that we're going to put into the testing cup, which is not in focus. There we go. Into the testing cup. Kayla's going to put the tip in one of the corners and then break the tip off. Right? Now the water in the sample cup is mixing with the liquid inside the ampule. So Kayla's now going to take the ampule out of the water. Okay, yeah, do it again. There we go, do it again. One, perfect. And the bubble's going to travel all the way to the top. Bubble will travel all the way to the bottom. And now we have a timer going. We are going to wait 2 minutes to read it.
So you can see relatively simple stuff, but each of these little building blocks forms a firm foundation of what is going to contribute to the healthy life of a young salmon. And then eventually, when they migrate out to the eelgrass forests of their estuary zones, you want them to be able to train up, become, streetwise salmon, and then go out, live good lives, come back home to a healthy stream. And it really is those tiny microcosms that form the entire successful everything. It's like if the first chapter of your book is garbage, no one's going to keep reading. Well, that's not always the case, but it should be. So it's finding a good home for the salmon and creating a successful life for them. So these dream streams are an incredible tool for helping them understand what they don't want with their nightmare streams or do want with the dream streams. And the students did just a tremendous job of creating specific and evidence-based visuals on what to do to create a healthy life for the salmon. So it eventually ends with a successful release. They determined the appropriate stream, the elementaries that were working specifically with Foss Waterway Seaport at least. and they release their baby salmon. If you want to see that experience, it's online on the Foss Waterway Seaport YouTube channel, which you may be watching this on right now. And I found it to be a surprisingly moving experience watching the journey of these salmon that have been taken care of remotely for so long, launched off into the world. And, you know, for something that is a keystone species that might get eaten, it was something that, like, as a father, I'm like, geez, I have so much anxiety about these juvenile fish going out in the world. And yes, I should have said streamwise instead of streetwise. I know that now. So let's talk about the orcas. Orcas want to eat Chinook salmon. That's their meal of choice, but they've adapted to start eating coho. And again, they have to eat significantly more of them than the Chinook if they're going to maintain their weight. 1,400 a day, which I can't imagine eating 1,400 a day of anything. But these suckers are out there making it happen. And luckily, they have seen a successful bounce in the population. So actually, if you look at whaletrail.org, JPod here is clever enough to start eating a new type of fish, and they are reaping the benefits from it. There is a bounce in their population. More of them are coming into the area, and they're returning not only to the Puget Sound, but they're returning here with the salmon. And we're seeing an improvement. Something that I want to share with you guys here is about actions that are being taken on the smaller scale to improve the overall life of everyone living here in the Puget Sound.
Hi, I'm Renee Meshi, a Harvest Pierce County Program Manager with the Pierce Conservation District. And it is my pleasure to present the Brian Abbott Above and Beyond Award to the Swan Creek Limpieza cleanup team. We were incredibly inspired by the way this community-led group went above and beyond to recover 2.7 tons of trash from Swan Creek. A lot of this trash was tires that were degrading in the waterways, and we know that tires especially impact salmon populations, and this is a salmon-bearing stream. We are incredibly honored to be able to present the Above and Beyond Award to this group.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris Lopez Moreno. I am a resident here in East Tacoma, just where we have this beautiful park. And last year we have the privilege to participate in a community cleaning here at Swan Creek. Swan Creek is one of the most beautiful parks of Tacoma, but it needs attention. We found lots of garbage and things that we couldn't believe we could find in this park. That's why we decided to bring up the idea of one of my friends in the Eastside Tacoma Collaborative Group, and he came up with this great idea of celebrating Day of Earth in 2020 by cleaning this beautiful park. My attachments to this area are from 15 years ago when we came and we discovered this beautiful park. This is the place where my kids learn how to ride a bike, and now well, it's a place that we enjoy at least once a week. It's like taking care of the soul in a special way. So that's why it's important for me to keep it clean.
Pasado, el equipo de liderazgo de ITC de Tacoma tuvo la idea de limpiar todo este parque, de tratar de rescatar poco a poco el lugar donde viene a procrearse el salmón. Para mí es importante tratar de hacer pues esas pequeñas cositas que pueden cambiar poco a poco un espacio. En mi parecer, lo bueno es tratar de cambiar. Si tú puedes cambiar 3 metros, está excelente. Porque si otra persona hace otra parte, entonces un día nos vamos a unir y un día vamos a poder tener a nuestra madre tierra sana, limpia. Esa fue la principal idea. También es una reflexión sobre, en estos tiempos de pandemia, que nos hizo reflexionar a muchos, nos hizo sentir que debemos de hacer algo, que debemos debemos de cambiar, debemos de no tirar, aunque sea la basura pequeñita, porque los mares están llenos de esas pequeñas basuras, de esos vasos, de esas bolsas. Luego entonces empezamos a hacer ese cambio, poco a poco podemos, a lo mejor no impactar mucho, pero estamos sembrando la semilla para nuestros hijos. Y quiero pues dar las gracias a todas las personas, porque no fui solo yo, es trabajo de la comunidad, es de todos, de niños, de jóvenes, de todas esas personas que ayudaron. Y pues yo me siento feliz haciendo eso. A veces mi tiempo no me alcanza, pero trato de hacer todo lo que yo más puedo. Gracias.
Hello, my name is Max, and I'm happy to be a part of the team here at Swan Creek cleaning up the park. This park has been really dear to me. Ever since I was little, I've come here to bike, to run, to walk on the trails and walk near the creek. And cleaning it up has been a fun experience. It's good exercise, and I have really enjoyed it.
Hi, my name is Maria Teresa Games. I'm a resident of South Tacoma. I love Swan Creek, and I'm very good friends with the East Side Collaborative, and I also work for solid waste management with the city of Tacoma. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I love this park. I really think that we are very fortunate to have woods in the middle of the city. It's like luxury, not to mention the salmon, not to mention the water, and I feel like it's our responsibility.
Everything from the largest fir tree to a pod of orcas to the most successful adults starts as something small. And by taking action to encourage the health, success, and safety of those small things, from the tiniest salmon to the humble seed to the students in the area, is the most worthwhile action that we can do. And I think last year brought that back to the forefront of everyone's mind. And so I commend the work of every fifth grader in the area, of all of the Salish Sea Heroes, and of the Foss Waterway Seaport for making this program happen in a time where it seemed like nothing would happen. The health and success of the community is coming back step by step. And again, it happens in the tiniest pieces that we all take every day. So I hope you can walk away from this experience tonight feeling empowered into a better future, optimistic about what is to come, and ready to go out and do tiny things to make a huge impact. If you guys have any other questions, please let me know. You can always direct them also to the Foss Waterway Seaport. They are a tremendous program with a lot of educational capacity going on. And the hope is to take this program and multiply it. So there was one salmon tank in the Foss Waterway Seaport Museum space this year. They hope to have 10 throughout the community by next year, and to really see a growth from this program. So let's hope that next time I'm doing this virtual tour, the statistics are, what, 50% instead of 5 of salmon in the area? Again, it seems like it's a heavy lift, but little things lead to big success. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. Again, questions, comments, always appreciated. Let me know, and I will see you next month for our free virtual third Thursday program, which is going to be looking at what is underneath the water outside the Foss Waterway Seaport and at the bottom of the Foss Waterway itself. If you guys want to recommend anything for me for Pretty Gritty, please let me know. And as always, not necessary, but if you've enjoyed your tour tonight, you can always tip your guide on the homepage of prettygrittytours.com. And thank you all so much. I'm encouraging you to keep on exploring. I'll see you guys.